And so it begins. Another exciting adventure in the world of fixing bugs. In a world where Firefox doesn't work for no obvious reason. Now watch, I'm gonna go to the downloader and it's just gonna work. It's just gonna like put up no fight, it'll just work, and I'll be like, but then what actually happened? Okay, I've got everything set to both, which was our problem child. I'm betting it has something to do with the noise reduction library. I would not be surprised if I botched that, because everything else is just libav. So that was actually an interesting result because it only switches to this screen. Um, like this is the old downloader. It only switches to this if something goes wrong. So that time I must have gotten an exception. Unfortunately, because I have it, hiding what's actually happening and just going to the other downloader screen. I don't know what the exception was. So that's not helpful. Let's just grab for Nox. Yeah, okay, so the only place I set it is right here, and that's just ignoring that exception, so... Well, no, it's not ignoring that exception, it's responding to that exception, but I would rather ignore the exception. I would rather actually get the exception. Let's dock this. Console, please. Download. Not even sure why I had a breakpoint, and I'm not sure. There's the play button. I was like, what the hell? How did it still... How many breakpoints do I have? Hello, Joshua. Welcome to hell. That was the only instance in Nox, wasn't it? Yeah. Or I guess, yeah, the download chooser itself does it too. You got me for a second, Dad. Except the biggest giveaway is you're on YouTube, and that particular genre of spam only ever happens on Twitch. FS error? I mean, it just can't be an FS error. Chew. What do you mean, chew? Choo choo! Choo choo! Here comes the error! This is meaningless. What? Uh, Wait, just a cotton picking second here. No, that's right. That's that's what it would be. Uh, If you want to link it somewhere with a little bit more permanence than my vanishing Twitch chat, Joshua, then I might notice it there. Choo choo! Welcome to the error train. Like the error can't be choo. I mean, I know the error is FS error. Okay, so where would a file system error be coming in? It would have to be in the interface to the file writing, of course, which means it would have to be in, well, or the file reading, I suppose. Well, Yollop is what reads the file. That's right, because it's a... No, because if it's... Dang it, I don't even know... that's very frustrating. I don't even know whether this FS error is coming from, like, where it's coming from. I mean, this is infinity times more information than I was getting before, and I don't know why. I don't know why. I've changed nothing, and now it is at least actually giving me the error, which is an incredible change. Can I... Choo-choo, can I make some determination of whether this is coming from libav or the zip library? Yes. I can just stub out the zip library. What is going on? This should be here. Oh, wait, no, that's here. Okay, this is just a meaningless fix me, because I've already fixed that. That's here. That's already done. Okay. That's very frustrating. FS error. I mean, at least the error is going through. Count your blessings. I wonder if that was down to no worker. Okay, so here's how I test whether this is actually related to Yollop or not. I just don't do that. Then I just read all of the data and throw it on the ground. So, if this doesn't crash, given that I am not actually reading anything, if this doesn't crash, or sorry, not actually using the data I read, I am reading it, I'm just not using it, then that means that there's a problem in Yollop. Cannot find name download promise. Oh, fair enough. Yeah, that's right. During a stream, I don't even, or during a dev stream, I don't even silence my phone. And it's just the default Google notification sound. Hope you're enjoying that. So that suggests that either nothing makes any sense, which is a distinct possibility because nothing makes any sense, or that the problem is somehow, I mean, the problem isn't in libav, but it's in the way I'm using libav that is somehow causing issues on Firefox, but not Chrome. I'm just quickly checking that I truly haven't loaded Yollop at all. Yes, Yollop is extremely not loaded. Yollop is extremely... Well, yeah, it would be loaded to this point. Fine. But it's not loaded past that point. The WASM hasn't loaded. There's no Yollop thread. Yeah. So that suggests that the error is actually earlier in the process. Good. It shouldn't say FS error if the problem is the fetch. Let me check my fetch processor. Oh! What if it doesn't like if you provide a second argument to fetch, but that second argument is undefined? That would be very strange, but not impossible. I should really have all of this in a try so that I can pass the error through correctly. In fact, I should have this whole pipeline in proper error checking. Okay, time to make the whole pipeline do proper error checking. Hooray! Ooh, this is a great example of more licensed text than text. Hooray! Just realized I'm not even looking for the right string. Yes, I am. Yeah, this is going to be a bit of a gross one. I mean, debugging is most... God, Chew. I think that it's cutting off DL chooser, but how it just landed on Chew is bizarre. I promise you, occasionally I do things other than debug. Like, occasionally I write fresh new code. I realize I'm not providing any evidence of that in this experience, but, like, it has been known to happen that I do things other than debug. Okay, this is... Right, this is just the generic input processor. Fine. But if you have ChatGPT, then all I would do is debug, Joshua. So the issue with ChatGPT doing the issue with ChatGPT doing code is the same as the issue with AI doing anything, which is it only knows how to plagiarize. And, like, plagiarism can get you a ways, but you do also need to have a functioning brain. And if you have a functioning brain, then the plagiarism really basically doesn't get you anywhere at all. Like there's a lot of boilerplate in programming, and boilerplate is what ChatGPT is extremely good at, but it doesn't understand your actual goals. All it understands is like the boilerplate that it was programmed on. And so you have to like get it to write the right boilerplate, but then you also have to fully understand the boilerplate it just wrote, which, maybe saves you the time of writing the boilerplate, but it doesn't save you any of the mental effort, and in fact just gives you a new mental effort. So that's my thoughts on AI programming. Do I want? Yes, I need. All of them need to have the try catch. I can't avoid it because it has to flow through the entire chain. I don't know why I didn't think to do this kind of error control correctly in the first place. Actually, I wonder if pull throws an exception, will it just do a controller error? Am I doing this all pointlessly? Ah, no, it's actually a readable stream itself I need. I'm wasting my time. Literally, Poll was doing this anyway. Outstanding. Outstanding. I just did all of that for nothing, just to make my code more complicated to no benefit. Okay, there was one critical change I made, and several not critical changes I made. Oh dear. I had made more changes before doing this than I realized. Unfortunately, that means I'm going to have to undo this the old-fashioned way, which is very stupid. Excuse me while I now undo exactly the code I just wrote, because I'm a moron. Luckily, undoing it is considerably easier than doing it. And doing it wasn't that hard. Oop. Well, those two ought to do it. I feel like I botched that slightly. No, looks right there. Yeah, I thought I had done that. I actually did. I did every single one of them. Brilliant. Brilliant work, Yalweasel. You really did it. Yeah, I think this is where I finally went, wait. In error management, trial and error is your friend. Now, what I really should do is get through the changes I've already made that matter so that I don't make that same mistake again. This is why we have version control. Yes, all of this libav sharing I haven't saved yet. Get her pushed. I quite often accidentally type get her and then something. And so I'll sometimes say get her pushed when I typo that. I got so distracted by that that I now have truly no idea what the hell I was doing. Right. FS error. And I determined, in fact, that had to be, yeah, regardless, that had to be libav because Yallop doesn't even have a file system, so that was always going to be a libav issue. Oh. Except I'm not actually reading a file, am I? Oh, of course. Oh, I just botched this. I botched this big time. If I have a shared libav instance, that's fine. But I need to have a different file name each time. What order should these go in? Probably name them input. And then I'm presumably setting on read, aren't I? No, yeah, not for this. That's fine. I just have to make sure that I'm sending to the correct file. Not the most elegant way to do this, but I just need a name. So it actually probably was the too many workers problem all along. It's just that doing that gave me another problem to deal with. Now this similarly It's going to use an output file, but now it's much more gross, yes. I still think that I was correct to use a shared instance. I'm just going to have to be a little bit more correct. What order are these in? I love long, complicated types. I love long, complicated types. Joshua, the amount of code in the quite literal sense of like how many lines of code to accomplish a task is like a hugely I guess I wouldn't quite say divisive, but like um uh so there is simultaneously the idea that more is more, and the more code you've written, the more you've done, and the idea that a good programmer can do more in less code. Um, so usually the goal should be to keep to what you might call like a complexity density, that you don't want your code to be short just for the sake of short, because then it can become unreadable and unmaintainable, but you also don't want it to be so verbose that there's tons of code that's sort of fluff, that's not really doing anything. Um, and I suspect that every programmer sort of has their own level of complexity density that they are comfortable with. And I probably like I probably make my code more difficult for people who aren't me to maintain, because if I am to attempt to be sort of reflective, I suspect that my complexity density is too high for sort of the average expected complexity density. Wait, wait. Da 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 da. Yes, that was correct. I so often, like, when there's an error in code, I just look at the line and I go, surely when I go to that line, I will instantly know what the error was. I'm getting a call from CIBC branch. One moment. People are worrying about how I make money when I do this kind of thing, and I'm getting like random calls from my financial advisor. You ever get a cold call from your financial advisor? No, that's because you're poor. It was CIBC, Joshua. Uh, SFX track. Joshua, I saw you wrote something before then, but obviously my conversation got in the way. So if you if that was something important, feel free to repost it. Well, I mean, important is relative, but if that was something yeah, whatever. Repost it if you want to. Gone back and worked on previous project as existing code is updated, making previous scripting obsolete or defunct. I mean, all the time. Like so, particularly Dan, it's only zeros, not negatives. You don't get a, charging you for the privilege of being poor fee. uh Joshua, I mean, so so this just to sort of answer a side question that is not directly the question, but just sort of put things into scale. Like when you're so I my approach to computers is computers are machines to be programmed, and so I do like tons of programming every day because lots of tiny little tasks. It's like, well, it'll just be quicker for me to write a program to do this, and so like 98% of the code I write gets thrown in the garbage. The other 5% of the code is like stuff I want, stuff I really, I care about and want to survive. And so, that 95% that gets thrown in the garbage, no, I don't go back and look at it. If I need it again, I'll rewrite it. But the 5% that's what we're looking at right now, um, you there. So there is a sort of extra cost in terms of time, in terms of thought, to making code be maintainable. But even if you have no intention of maintaining code, it is a good habit to be in to make it maintainable, simply because if you don't, then later down the line, even if you're so like you don't get practice essentially. Like if you don't just make it a habit of making your code maintainable, then you won't get practice making maintainable code. So I think a lot of like I with any code I write, I immediately come in with like, is this something I'm going to write once and then throw away? If yes, then I don't give a shit about maintenance. But anything that does not fit into that category, downstream maintenance is something I'm considering, even if it seems highly unlikely that I'll ever look at the code again, simply because, as a matter of practice, it's good to not. And I don't mean a matter of practice as in a matter of procedure. I mean, like, practice makes perfect. A matter of practice, it's good to be in the practice of developing in that way. Well, we seem to be back to it just gives absolutely no feedback whatsoever. So that's great. Let me before committing any code, let me actually check that it works, that I haven't broken it entirely. It at least still works in Chrome. Oh, good. I've broken it everywhere now. Well, that's much better. It actually, honestly, is better to have broken it everywhere because then at least this feels like a real problem rather than so these are not real problems. These are just it's like art assets, and I don't have all the art assets on my testing server, so they don't show up. Art assets. The whole program isn't going to break because of art assets, thankfully. It's very frustrating that it's not giving any feedback whatsoever. It's really difficult to debug something when it's just, oh, I left out the actual zipping code. It's not doing anything because I specifically made it not do anything. I'm a moron. Okay, let's. That was outstanding. I remember I stubbed out that code because I was trying to figure out where the bug was, and I just left the code stubbed out apparently. So yeah, that would do it. Oh look, it actually works when I don't stub out the code. Ooh, that doesn't. Hmm, that doesn't feel really like it's working actually. 0 bytes isn't a lot of bytes. I think it's like the smallest number of bytes there can be. I don't know if negative bytes are possible. So what's probably happening, honestly, is probably just that I forgot to replace the word input or output somewhere. Because now these have real file names, and if I don't pay attention, they'll not go through. I guess would be on the output side because this is way weirder code. How does this ever end the file? I guess the answer is down here. Yeah. I knew it. I'm in the habit of pushing directories to my directory queue, but not in the habit of popping them again, so I just always end up with an endless queue of directories. If I don't think anybody who's watching this is actually a developer. My apologies if I'm incorrect. So that was probably entirely a meaningless statement. I mean, uh, directory queues have nothing to, directory stacks have nothing to do with development, but well, if it's not on that end, then it's on the other end. It's time for printf debugging. possible for this to be doing the wrong thing? I don't think so. Well, it's time for printf debugging. Yeah, that looks bad. That's real bad. 16 of them are happening all at once, which means it's trying to pull from every file, and it's failing to make any progress on any of them. So pretty much about as bad as it could be. I didn't expect this to be a trivial change, but I did expect it to work. So it didn't even make it past this. Or perhaps past this. I guess I can be more specific than this or this. Not with that non-function, though. My intuition says it's going to get through B, but not make it to C. My intuition is wrong. Curious. Joshua, it's literally just a highly sacrilegious pun. If you don't recognize what Yalweasel is a portmanteau of, then ask your friendly local Jew. Okay, let's try progress through here then. Why are all 16 starting at once? Something is uncorking these that shouldn't be. And I feel like, given that they're all using the same libav instance, that just can't be good. Oh yeah, that's it. Okay, those are so like intertwined and weird. So the real question is, why is it that it's using multiple? Why are multiple instances even happening at all? And I will answer that question after a quick bathroom break. Sometimes that happens. Sometimes the avatar just has a bad time. Where am I going? So what's the actual pop processor? Right, okay, it's only there. High watermark is 0, so it shouldn't even attempt to read. Ah! So the question is the cork processor, or the, yes, is this working correctly? Okay, so fetch and save are corked. That doesn't... Yeah, I guess that makes sense. How are they getting uncorked early? I do kind of hate when I'm just in the weeds of debugging like this. Like, oh. Oh. That's maddening. So, all of those started. Oh. Of course. They can start to that point before they even read anything. concurrency happened, Joshua. Concurrency. The decoder should not be doing any of this on pull. Well, I mean, ultimately it has to be on pull, but, like, it should be after the first read of data, which is really complicated because that really only happens here. Wow, okay. This is a little bit more complicated than I'd realized. I think what I actually want in the corkable processor is to insist that the input is a corkable processor and just wait until it's uncorked. That's the most direct way. So basically the problem is that each of these was launching and starting to try to read input before any of the files had been opened or any of the input was coming through. And all of these are sort of competing on the same, like, the same input stream. They're all trying to read at the same time. So, Joshua, that would be the ideal way for it to work, but uh, so I don't like the design of readable streams, but I didn't make them. I blame the design of readable streams. I think they're really confusing. But this is all, like, streaming stuff. There's not an easy. I mean, you could infrastructure, except that it would be much, much harder. So, just gotta live with what the browser provides. Readable streams are built into the browser. That's worth mentioning. I don't know if this is gonna magically fix everything, or even magically fix anything, but it magically fixed everything, so that's pretty cool. That was a more effective fix than I actually expected it to be. I expected that to fix it, but I was not expecting it to just magically fix everything. Hello, Arne. Arnie? Okay, that downloaded. Let me go ahead and get rid of that pointless debugging printf. Just same old, Arne. Just your standard debugging hell. Okay, Firefox. Now, you don't like me, but I like you. I was about to say I don't like you and you don't like me, but I actually do like Firefox. What just happened? Oh, I know exactly what just happened. Okay, that wasn't actually important. Import object field env is not an object. Okay, question 1. Why are you importing anything? Question 2. Let me do a harder refresh here, because I don't trust that I actually loaded the current version. No, that's real. The hell? Important. Boy, howdy, was I not expecting an Emscripten error to pop out. Failed to asynchronously prepare WASM. Wait. Okay, so this actually has nothing to do with me. It just failed to compile the WASM code. What? That's not a thing that can happen. Of all of the errors that could have occurred, this isn't one of them. When in doubt, randomly clear your cache and hope that it was just some weird caching behavior. It was some weird caching behavior. I'm going to call that perfect and flawless. Everything's great. I mean, in fairness, I did update Yullup without updating any paths, so the cache definitely would have been incorrect. Thank God. Okay, so that downloaded. It's a good thing everything is named test.aup.zip. That is in no way confusing. Oh, I just downloaded FLAC in this case. What I needed is 16 FLAC files. Yep, okay. I just want to quickly check that, like, at least some of the processing is happening here. Yep. Okay, it downloads in both. Some caching difficulties. I opened so many files, Audacity seg faulted. Some caching difficulties, but that was to be expected. And that means the task that I have written right up here is now a done task. Let's not use the minified one. Yeah, that moved down, that's fine. Ooh, do not want that. Anybody, so Arne, I assume you are a programmer. If for any reason you are not in the habit, if you use Git at all, if you are for any reason not in the habit of git add -p, it's a good habit to learn. Love patch mode. Yes, okay. It's using a shared libav now, thus using an unshared name. Oh yeah, git add -p. Oh, okay, yeah. If you're using like the Visual Studio Code or something, then yeah, it'll let you do things like that too. But I'm infinity years old. I do want to say because people get very sort of protective of editors and such that uh, I am I am not like I am not a zealot for Vim. If anybody if you want to use Vim, use Vim. If you want to use Visual Studio Code, use Visual Studio Code. Just you use what you're comfortable with. At this point, I'm just going through to make sure that every remaining change is actually something I want to get rid of. It was just for debugging. Yes, okay. I mean, a lot of it is the same. Oh, man. I'm just gonna keep making weird sounds. Like a lot of it is like the reason I use Git is because 20 or Git. I revile Git, by the way, but I just typed Git, so it's on my brain. The reason I use Vim is because I've been using Vim for 20 years. I was using Vim long before Visual Studio Code existed, so. Okay. Like occasionally the old Linux distro wars manage to find their way to me, and my response is always just like, yeah, I use Debian. I'm not gonna advocate for Debian because whatever you're using, I've probably been using Debian for longer than it existed. Oh, you use Arch? That's cute. Here's your binky. Okay, I already pushed that. I was so expecting this task to take forever that now I'm not sure what my next task is. I took roughly half of the time I was going to take to do that task, and now I need another task. Uh, yep, that's done. That's in no way unclear. Make a procedurally generated version of Baba as you, suggests Joshua in chat. I think the way to do that, which would be frickin' impossible, is to start from the solution and work backwards. But I don't make games. So if you don't mind me asking, what age were you when you started programming? I think it's not that like that people who start older can't sort of catch up. They certainly can, but uh, there's there tends to be a difference in attitude, I think, between like, oh, I've been programming since I was 8 and oh, I've been programming since I was 18. Hey, whatever it takes. That's probably a better. So I started programming when I was 8 on the Commodore 64. That's probably like that's pickled my brain, and I'm a weird person for it. So I don't know if I'd recommend that. But uh, it is. I mean, I'm far too old to have ever really played Roblox, but Uh, I appreciate when things like that expose enough of the mechanics that people can sort of just to assuage their own curiosity get into it. I mean, technically on my task list, I need to test all of this new downloader with accessibility. I need to make sure that it's usable with a screen reader. But shockingly, I don't have a screen reader set up on this particular system. Every single Wednesday test. Oh dear. Java's not so bad, Arna. For this particular project, the one we're currently staring at, it's mostly TypeScript because it's a web thing. But there are just little itty bits of C in there. So, you know, it's just, as long as you've got a garbage collector, life is better. So, Joshua, weirdly, I sometimes find sort of the opposite perspective. Um, if you are familiar with several programming languages and you want to learn a new one, it's really, really hard to find a resource that's geared towards experts. Like, if I wanted to learn Ruby, so I don't know Ruby, uh, then that well, given that there are perhaps infinitely many programming languages, that would be difficult, Joshua. uh, Given that I don't know Ruby, I would want to find some resource to learn Ruby, but they all tend to be geared towards like I've never programmed before, but I'm enthusiastic and want to learn to program. Uh, it's yeah, they're the I don't know what the audience for those things are. It's I like people get into programming in such sort of specific and directed ways usually. I genuinely don't know what I am now doing because my next task really is to test accessibility of the new downloader, and without currently testing that, there's not a lot of other things to do. Yeah, I wish there was like a resource for I know X, I want to learn Y. Uh, so like, if you have familiarity with Python and you want to learn Java, then it's not going to have to teach you what a class is because even though the details are very different, they're broadly the same. Uh, but it can teach you, how the type system interacts with things and how generics work and such. Devdocs.io. Of course it's .io. It had to be .io. I was thinking of just giving a once over RT on Wii to see if anything is not shipshape there, but RT on Wii is, even for me, being the sole author of it, quite an intimidating project to dive into. So what I'm going to do instead... Right. I know what I'm going to do. So right now, what I have implemented, which is not upstream yet, it's not at ennuicastr.com, is that I can simultaneously record the echo canceled and non-echo canceled audio, which can give you the illusion of doing post hoc echo cancellation. The downside of that is, like, if you're recording in FLAC, then now you've got two uh uh outgoing streams that are like freaking huge. And so uh like what do I do about that? Like I haven't quite decided. Do I just say, yep, fine, you've got two outgoing streams on every single client, or do I make this a configurable feature, but then nobody would know whether to turn it on or not? Like the first thought I had when I was first considering how to implement this feature was that I would subtract them. So you would get the echo or the signal as a separate channel, and then that channel could be compressed, and it's less important than the main signal. The problem is that the alignment isn't perfect, and so that essentially does nothing. See, I'm always so like Joshua. I mean, what the hell do I know about user interface design? But like, I already don't like that. I've got an advanced options selection. I generally tend to think that like the way that software should work is just do the right thing by default. It's easy enough to add this as an advanced option. Oh, okay. Step one of being able to do that is making it a configurable option in the client. Well, I have no idea what Flutter is, so yeah, sure, go for it, Arna. I believe I have seen that term in relation to Rust Desk. God, what even should be the default? Dart is alive? I really thought I had seen the birth and death of Dart. Wait. Not fighting a duel. Duel. let's see. So that's where it sets up the back channel. Every back channel is related to this right now, so... The capture back channel is necessary because that's to get the echo to be cancelled out. There we go. And then I also need for the worker to know not to do that. So. Why isn't my go to definition shortcut working? Go to definition, dang it! This is some of the messiest code in this entire code base because it's just like it has to be really flat. It can't use a lot of objects and such because it's soft real time. And you should not insert a bunch of things into a soft real time chain, and so we end up with this just like spaghetti code of madness. Maintaining code is sometimes better than even most of the time better than rewriting code, Arna, but I would not agree that it is always better than rewriting code. Wait. Let me think about this. Of course, it's not even using this filter at all when it's not doing echo cancellation. I think actually the best way to handle this is to always accept it through the back channel. Always accept it through the back channel. But then just decide on the other end which one we're actually going to forward. Yes, okay, that's the way to do it. So this doesn't actually need to care. Oh, I am like I don't think that I am unskilled at front end, Arna. It's just design. That's what really gets me. Like I can hook up a front end to work great, no problem. But designing one. Yes. Okay. Yeah, exactly, Arna. We all know the pain that is UX by a developer syndrome. Where do I actually set when you set echo, or yeah, when you set echo cancellation? Where does that go? Yeah, I guess just in the processing. That makes sense. But source audio, of course, doesn't have. Yeah, that would be a circular dependency. Hmm. This is very stupid. Exactly. This shouldn't be on proc. It has to be on proc, but it shouldn't be on proc. I mean, ultimately, this should be one per input audio stream, but I don't have support for multiple input audio streams yet. It has to be on proc because the processing needs to know whether to use echo cancellation. I hate that I feel for some reason the need to have light mode be the default, even though I personally can't tolerate it. Like, given how much I hate this, why? Why am I using it as the default? This is gonna be such an ugly... man, I'm, like, ashamed of myself for doing this fix, but... I mean, this all needs to change when I have support for multiple things anyway, so... Why did I make this a documentation comment? So, Arna, that is the best setting, but uh, so whether the website can actually detect that depends on so many factors that it's often quite difficult to do so practically. Wait, this doesn't even... This has no event associated with it. Oh, I'm just pulling it. I'm just... Okay. Oh, in that case, this doesn't need to be quite as grotesque as I thought it needed to be. I mean, the short answer to the how it works question, Arna, is if you just assume that all of your users use Windows or Mac OS, then you're great. And if you don't assume that, then too bad for those, you know. And since I personally have no respect for macOS users at all, it just occurred to me looking at this that Ennuicastr shortens to EC and echo cancellation also shortens to EC. This is the first time I've noticed there's that tiny ambiguity there. Okay, let's just add this as one of those things. So the way I describe it is this, Arna. So I used to describe, like hacker types. I would say, well, they want to use a Unix, and maybe that's Linux, maybe that's BSD, whatever. But then MacOS proved that uh, if you're sufficiently insane, you can make Unix be an operating system for toddlers. And the moment that it became an operating system for toddlers, now I don't know what to use to say, like, grown up operating system. Joshua, next is what happened to MacOS. MacOS is what it is because next. Plus another decade or two of madness, but next is the inception. Yes, yeah, exactly, Joshua. That should not be a magic number. It's becoming increasingly important that not be a magic number. Okay, good. This is the only place that uses it. It's actually a flag for the track rather than just the track, so slightly more complicated to check. Or not using EC, and it does not have that flag. There's got to be... there's a better way to check this, but no one would understand what I'm writing. I can write that. See, this, Joshua, earlier you asked about, writing more code versus less code. This that I just wrote does the same thing as I'm about to write down here, but it's so deeply confusing that I just don't tolerate it. I'm going to do a Boolean comparison and then, no! Ooh, That's that. Yeah, that's in. I actually want to send it as track number 0. Always, yes. Okay. But I will leave a fix me. And that's how you get UX by a developer, Joshua. Oops. Uh, oh, I moved that out of proc without actually updating where it lives now. This is exactly the kind of situation where a more complete IDE like Visual Studio Code or something would just do a much better job. Particularly since I am developing in TypeScript, and Visual Studio Code is literally written in TypeScript, so you'd hope that it can handle TypeScript well. Right, yes, okay. I also moved that there. It's no longer in proc, it's now in audio. Well, all I've tested is that that compiles, but I think we're going to have to continue developing that later on. I am quite delighted that I got the downloader working. It was exactly the problem I thought it was last time, just that that ended up being quite a bit of a rabbit hole of don't make infinity threads. Instead of making infinity threads, make fewer than infinity threads. Great. Okay, that's a wrap for today. I have to go make dinner, so I'm going to go make dinner. I have no idea when I'm going to be streaming Dev, but feel free to show up again if you want to.